Hi guys, and welcome to another scrapbooking process video. Today I'm going to be creating a layout using this adorable little dump truck cut file that I got from Confessions of a Paper Addict, and this adorable line called Lil Dude or Lil Dude from Simple Stories. This is an older collection, but as you can tell, it is well loved. I have only bits and pieces of it left. I have no full sheets of paper whatsoever, so I'm going to have to use a cardstock background for my layout, but that's okay. And right now what you see me doing is I am backing the cut file, and I'm just using, for the bigger pieces, I'm actually using the cut file itself to trace around, and then I will cut inside the paper lines and I will glue it down that way. Now oftentimes when I do it this way, because I'm heavy-handed or whatever, I will mess up and often have to recut things a couple of times because I will push in the edge of the cut file and I don't cut it straight. So there is no exact science to using or backing cut files. This is just the way that I do it, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So for this dump truck it actually worked. I think I did have to go around the edge of it to cut some little excess pieces off where I'd cut it too big, but it was okay. And for the next part, I'm gonna back the cab. Yeah, here's where I'm trimming off the excess on that back part of the dump truck. Now for the front part, I'm going to use this red, orangey red colored paper, and you can already see my mistake. I am tracing the back of the cut file onto the front of the paper, and when you do it this way, it is going to be backwards. And I am so concentrated in what I'm doing, I honestly don't notice until after I glue it down that I did it wrong. Lucky for me, it was while this glue was still wet, so I was able to pull it up pretty quick. It did rip the cut file a little bit, but it's not anything you can notice just by looking at it. So there you go. Oops, my mistake. So now I'm going to tear this off, and rather than throw it away, I'm going to use it really quickly and turn it over and use it to trace, because it was the correct size. I just did the wrong side. So I'm going to trace it out and cut it out again, this time using the other side of the paper, or the correct side of the paper, the side of the paper that I wanted, I should say. So I'm going to cut it out and glue it down, and it turns out really cute. I really like the red and the yellow on the dump truck, the primary colors. Again, I go for bright, bold colors, or I have a tendency to use bright, bold colors when I scrapbook. That's just what my eye is drawn to. I'm going to back the rest of it off camera, and there it is, and I've backed it with some fun foam. I've also matted my photo with one of the back pieces of paper, and now I'm just going to go through the ephemera, or the ephemera die cuts, the puffy stickers, the chipboard, the cut apart sheets, all the bits and pieces that I bought to go along with this collection. I still have tons left. So I'll be able to use those up even once the paper is gone. I love all the cute little bits and pieces and the sayings and everything that came with this collection. It's really one of my favorite collections. And so as you can see, I'm just going through everything and picking out things that I think will work. And I've kind of decided to do a embellishment cluster going up the side of the page, kind of like it's coming from the smokestack is what I originally thought. And then I just go way overboard and add so many different bits and pieces and parts that it kind of took over the layout. It's much more than I originally intended for this layout, but that's okay. Again, it's part of my process, and I just kept adding. Sometimes we need to learn to stop ourselves, but we don't always. And again, it's probably not my favorite layout that I've ever done, but it's not a bad layout, and I really do like all the colors and the fun pieces and parts. So I left it in and created a video, or finished out this video. Right now you can see me, I'm cutting out pieces from the cut apart sheets. So you don't actually have to use those 2x2 squares as 2x2 squares. You can cut the pieces out and use them however you want to. Here's a speech bubble, because I wanted to kind of have a speech bubble theme going along. And so I'm cutting apart that speech bubble from that card because I didn't want to use a square card in a section with round speech bubbles. I really love this little blue and yellow dump truck as well. It's not going to stay there. I'm going to try and find a spot for it, but I really wanted to use it because I have a layout using a dump truck and I don't have a lot of those, so I wanted to include all the dump trucks that I could from the collection into this layout. Right now I'm fussy cutting some speech bubbles from the speech bubble paper that was in this collection because I didn't have enough speech bubbles using the sticker sheet and the cut apart cards. So I'm using the speech bubble paper as well and just trimming some fun speech bubbles out of that as well. And I continue to cut, and I wanted to add some red, so I made sure to get that crazy cool kid. The problem is that I start realizing that I am doubling up on sayings by cutting out from the cut apart sheet as well. So I'm going to take a break from that for a second, and I'm going to try and figure out what to do with this dump truck. I take one of these rainbow frames and I cut it in half and put it over to the side, and I'm thinking that'll be a great place to put some journaling or the date. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I also really like this banner that says "Stay Little Little Man," and I don't know where I'm going to stick it yet. I'm just trying to play around with some place to stick it for now. I also thought about adding in some of these stars in between the speech bubbles to kind of fill in some spots so it didn't look so empty. And I'm now going through and trying to make sure I don't have double sayings and looking at the colors and making sure that they're pretty cohesive with this layout. Notice that I took away the big red one. I do add a little bit of red back in, but now I have red and I don't have red anywhere else except for on the frame and a little bit on the dump truck. So I'm going to see what I can do to kind of figure out. So the ones that I do know that I would like where they're at, or the speech bubbles I know I like where they're at, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to pop some up on foam and glue some down directly to the page to kind of vary the dimension on the page. And I'm going to stick that little banner there, and I'm going to add a little star. Actually, I'm going to add 2 stars. I'll come back in with some puffy stickers and add some smaller stars here in a minute. But I'm just going to kind of get everything glued down and think about what this is looking like and what else I can add or change or do to finish it off. I'm starting to really like how this is coming together. I'm going to glue my photo down now and get this other cluster glued down also at the same time. As you can see, I use a mix of double-sided tape, or miracle tape is what it is, and I love this stuff. A lot of people don't like the fiddling with the tape to pull off the backing and all of those things, but I find it very therapeutic, and I think I've said that before in one of my videos, but I really like using double-sided tape. It doesn't bother me. I got an ATG gun and I didn't care for it. It was big and awkward. It took up a lot of space on my scrapbooking table, which I don't have a lot of scrapping space. Basically what you see is what I have. So I don't have a huge scrapping space, and so I want to make sure that everything that's in my space is usable and doesn't take up too much space. So I let my ATG gun go and I stick with double-sided adhesive. Now I've gone back to the sticker sheet and I've gotten some fun little quotes or saying strips, phrase stickers from it. They say, "So sweet, big heart, I love you." I love that these sayings are generic and I think they're really, really cute. Again, I don't know if I pointed out that I'm doing an 8.5 by 11 size scrapbook page. I do multiple size scrapbook pages and multiple style scrapbook pages in my scrapbooks. I don't do all 12 by 12. I do a mix of 12 by 12, 8 by 8, 6 by 6, 8.5 by 11, 6 by 12. You name it, I do it. I also include pocket pages, and I include 12 by 12 pocket pages as well as 6 by 8 pocket pages that go in the smaller snap style albums. I do a mix of everything, and that keeps me from getting bored. I was having a hard time with this layout. I use a lot of pattern paper, and having a large white background just made everything feel kind of empty to me. So I was trying to figure out a way that I could include something else to make it a little more cohesive and make it go to the edge of the page. So I decided to put my dump truck on a road. So I cut off the bottom and I added some black pattern paper from one of the pattern papers in the collection, and I roughed up the edges. And so this dump truck is going to go bumping along. I'm looking at this page and I'm still seeing something. I'm trying to figure out, what do I need? What do I need? And you'll see me tap my fingers on the page. So I'm going to go ahead and add my journaling, which says, "You didn't feel good on this day. You often go really hard all day and then crash, but this day required lots of pit stops. Hopefully you feel better soon." And so this was one where my little guy he was not feeling well that day, and he was just kind of in a funk all day. So he would take many stops, and you could just tell he didn't feel good, and I felt really bad for him. But he kept going, and he would stop, and he just stopped. He was playing with his little trains, and he put on his construction hat, and he plopped himself down on the couch for a little rest, and I just thought it was so cute. So I just took a picture to kind of remember, the everyday bits of life. So not everything is sunshine and roses, and so we're going to include that in our scrapbooks as well. Right now I'm trying to find some thickers to create a title with, and I was going to go with black originally, but I'm going to have to put them at the bottom of the photo on top of that dump truck, and the black did not pop against that photo as much as I wanted it to. So I was going to use a mix of black and white, and I found that didn't stick out as well either. It just kind of looked kind of funny. So here I am playing with the black, and I say, oh, no, no, no. And now I'm going to get out these white ledger thickers that I've had in my collection for a really long time. And I'm going to use those. And I was going to put the title "So Sick," but I know that the big thickers would be too big, so I'm going to glue those down, and I'm going to think about what I want to do to finish off the title. I'm trying to think of something small I might have in another collection or in my thicker stash that I can use, or maybe even pulling out some of those little bitty thickers that I have, not thickers, sticker letters that I have in a box somewhere. Ultimately, I decide to go with these Paige Evans small foam thickers. I really love these things. I'm going to be so sad when I run out. I think they came out with the Turn the Page or Pick Me Up collection. I can't remember which one, but I just love them. So now, to kind of get everything to feel cohesive and go together and everything's not falling off the page, I decided to add some black lines. I'm using my T-square ruler and my Stampin' Up! Black marker to create some doodly lines on the edges of the layout to kind of make everything feel like it goes together and it doesn't just kind of run off the page. And then as I sit back and look, I'm thinking, what else can I add? It doesn't feel right. So what do? I decide to add little stitch lines around all these word bubbles. And the ones that I have already popped up, it takes me a second, but I just go very slowly and very carefully, and I'm able to get those stitched lines drawn around those speech bubbles. If I had it to go back and do again, I would probably do real stitching around these word bubbles, but I had already glued them down and popped some of them up on foam, so I went with the quicker method of just drawing them in carefully, and I really think that helped. So here is a final layout and some close-ups of the layout. I hope it inspires you. I hope you get crafty and are able to scrap soon, and thank you for watching.